Welcome back to the 611 podcast. We're here in Tokyo, Japan, at the Skytree to kick off the 2025 MLB season. We got the Los Angeles Dodgers, the Chicago Cubs, but more importantly,
yes,
I think we're trying to break records with the highest podcast,
legally high,
legally high.
Legally
that
highest
is,
podcast.
you know,
altitude,
with the man that has taken this game of memorabilia. Ownership of things that we've used, played with, signed. A Philly guy.
Yes.
A guy that, maybe a fanatic or something like that.
Yeah. On a couple aspects.
On a couple of aspects.
Yeah.
Entrepreneur. He started when he was a kid. He loves money.
Gotta love it. Gotta love the hustle.
He loved money, evidently.
I actually love the action, not the money.
He loves the action.
Oh, we'll get into that.
Hey, we're going to get into it.
We'll get into that.
Mike Rubin. The man needs no introduction. We appreciate you being here today, brothers.
Honored to be with you guys. My real Philly fam. Tokyo. I think we're, by the way, 3,500 feet. Is this?
Is that what it is?
So.
I don't know.
So.
I think a meter to foot's 10, right?
That's what I was trying to figure out.
I think it's 3,400 feet. We're ready to ski off this place or something.
I'm afraid of heights, but I like flying with you, dog.
Man.
Let's go. We fly together.
Let's
go,
do it,
baby.
Let's go. Let's jump into it. All right. So let's talk a little bit about where you're from, right? Philly. How did Philly, being from like Philadelphia, shape your mindset in terms of you've got fanatical fans, fanatical people. The company is named Fanatics. Now I don't know if that's
by chance
tied in to it.
I think right now we're just gonna make it fact. That's how the whole name came together.
All right.
It's not, but let's go.
All right.
We're gonna run with that.
All right, we'll run with that. But I want to know, what was the drive? What got you into the hustle? Because at such a young age, you got involved in the game. And so what was that mindset that got you there? What drove you? How did Philly and the fanatics of everything with fans and just how Philly is get you that drive to be where you are today?
Look, I'll start by saying I don't know any different. For me, one thing I'll say about Philly, it's a like grinded out city. You guys you did what it took to win. You had that attitude. We're gonna find a way to win at all costs. I think for me, that's always been my mentality. Like, I'm just gonna find a way to get to the outcome I want. Look, I think a lot of people know my story. Barely made it out of high school, didn't go to college, kind of school hard knocks. And like, you gravitate to what you're good at. And I was always, everyone saw my baseball pitch. You guys saw that, right? How bad it was. But I actually did that for a reason to show like you can suck at one thing and actually be good at something else. That's why I actually posted. Actually, Alex made me post it too. But I like to make fun of myself. But seriously,
have to laugh at yourself.
You gotta laugh at yourself.
Yeah.
But Philly's a great city. It's a city that represents just a grind and a will to win. And that's what you guys did when you won the World Series. And I think, for me, I think it's just taught me to, just always never quit. And, that's what's made me who I am. And I'm still doing the same thing today. Like, I love doing what I do. I don't do, it's not money. It's not, it's all about the action. It's about learning. It's about growing. And, that's always been my mentality.
And that's one thing I want to touch about because, I think everyone, if you really thought about it, has some type of entrepreneurial drive. We want to build something that we can contribute to society that reflects who we are. But along that road, there are many failures.
Yeah.
What, in your opinion, you've had to bet on yourself, obviously. But what is the difference between what some people see as failure and what is actually learning?
So first, I'm going to tell you, I'm not sure that I agree that everyone does have that entrepreneurialism in them. I think, I feel like you guys were born athletes.
Right.
I was born not an athlete. Okay.
Allegedly.
Yeah, no. Fashion. Okay. But I had that entrepreneurial skills that I was kind of born with. And I've always kind of fine-tuned the skills. Other people maybe they don't have it. It's not for them. So I think you got to figure out what you love doing, what's going to make you happy. And, I think there are a lot of people that have it within them. And sometimes people can find it in their 50s, 60s, 70s. They don't need to find it at 10 years old or 20 years old. But I don't think it's in everybody. It's in some people. So that's point one. My AD is kicking in. The second part of the question was what?
What do you define as failure versus learning?
So I don't like failures are great. Like I have failed so many times in my life. Every failure leads to the next success. I could give you countless examples of like where people like, it's over. He's cooked. He's done. And every one of those experiences, I figured out how to learn from, grow from, and, capitalize on. So I like to fail. I just try to do it quickly. I try things all the time. I throw a lot of shit at the wall. A lot of times things don't work, but that's okay. Think about for you guys as athletes, how many, bad games did you have? How many failures did you have? But you don't look at that and say like, oh, I'm going to let that take me down or bother me. It's like, okay, I'm going to work that much harder. I'm going to push that much more. And I think you have to do that to be successful. I've had some pretty epic failures and some pretty big ones. And for me, every one of those, from being a kid and, running out of money, I remember being 15 years old and it didn't snow one season when I owned the ski shops as a kid. And I literally owed $200,000 as a 15-year-old. And I had a sheriff show up at my house 100 different times over a school season. It would be like literally the doorbell would ring. She'd be like, good morning, here's today's lawsuits. I give her a hug, the sheriff.
15.
At 15.
200 racks at 15 in lawsuits.
Yeah. And by the way, I thought I was done. Like I'm a failure. Right. I'm never going to do business again. I'm not good at this. A couple weeks later, another ski shop went out of business. And I bought the merchandise at an auction, $200,000 of inventory for, it was like, I can't remember, like $10,000 or $15,000. I didn't even have the money to pay for it. I went neighbor to neighbor, borrowed it from someone who charged me $1,000 a week interest for the 15 grand, and then sold a bunch of the inventory to pay back my old bills and the new bills within weeks. And that got me into the closeout business. By the time I was 21, I was doing $100 million a year, making $10 million a year. So my point is like, I think I'm done. I think it's over. I don't even believe myself for that minute. And then weeks later, I turn this into a huge opportunity. So failures are great. You just got to figure out how to learn from them, how to take advantage of them, not have them bother you.
But to go off of that, right? So you get to that point to where you feel like it's done. What is stopping you from just wrapping it up and saying, all right, you know what? This isn't going to work.
Because it's easy to do that.
It's very easy.
I don't.
For some people,
my instincts are always like, never ever quit. Period. And I always say like, if someone's, I joke around with people like, I'm the type of person, if you're gonna try to, put me down, you better kill me. Like don't wound me, kill me.
Right.
Because I'm always gonna come back. I'm like, it's like the Terminator. Like they will not die. So, what gives you that mentality? Again, I feel like that's something I was born with. I've always had that mentality of. Whatever comes at me, I'm just going to keep persevering through it. I'm going to keep fighting through it. I feel like, one of the things I've been fortunate about is I get to see so many different athletes, and you see some people that are not the best talent, but they have the will that they find a way to win. Then you see other people that can have all the talent in the world,
100%.
and they're like, one thing goes against them, and they're like, they're out of the game. And, and so, I think I was the person born without the talent. But I just had the mentality. And I think I'll take that over someone who has all the talent but doesn't have that never die mentality.
We hear it all the time. It doesn't take talent to hustle.
No.
It takes drive. You got to go out there knowing what's against you, but almost you got to be delirious psychotic. Like if it's one person that's going to get through that wall and I'm surrounded by a million people, you're looking at everybody else like, I'm sorry, I'm that one. And that's the only way I feel you can really be successful. And it's
I'll say right now, I am
I'm that one.
I am 100%. That one. Yeah.
Have to be.
And look, people say to me all the time, why do you work so hard? I'm now 52. I've been doing this since I've been 8 years old. So I've been in business for 44 years. I've never worked harder than I work right now. I literally work 17 hours a day, most days. Like even you saw me, we were randomly sitting next to each other on the beach, and all I'm trying to do is get 5 minutes with the kids and get back on the phone and working away and grinding away and
work-life balance.
Work-life balance.
I'm sure you saw it. I'm hustling back around. But for me, I'm honored to do that. That's fun for me.
100%.
I love that. I actually don't have work-life balance. I've just work. But it's like I have the greatest job in the world. I run a really exciting company. I think we can build, the most exciting company in sports, one of the most valuable consumer brands in the world. We're just getting started. Like, I just wish I could get 8 days of the week while my competition had 7. I just wish I could get 26 hours of the day versus 24 hours of the day. You know, I'm always looking for that edge. So, you know, people say, why do you work so hard? It's because I love it, because I'm lucky to do what I do.
Bro, I love that, because it's like it's the parallel for sports, right? For what we would go through.
100%.
And it's the exact mindset of doing all the stuff behind the scenes. I was saying it the other day. People only see the finished product of what you see on the field. They don't see everything that goes on behind the scenes. They don't see you taking the extra swings in the cage, working out, doing all the prep work and all that kind of stuff. The sacrifices.
Yep. It just looks like
place.
magic. You're
You're
natural. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah, because it's like we say, it's, you know, with that work-life balance, right? Your family. There's sacrifices that you have to make in order to be able to be successful and get to where you want to be.
I think you can see it in people. When you get a chance to have exposure to people, you can see what they're made of.
100%.
I could say, like, I remember when Kobe Bryant was getting near the end of his career, he was really getting into business. And I met him, fortunately I met him in, 2010, 2011, and he would call relentlessly with just question after question after question. I remember saying, this guy's going to be the same killer he was on the court in business. And by the way, you see the same thing with Tom Brady, that just relentless, like, I'm going to win at all costs in business. He's just always out working everybody. And then you see certain people who just, they had all the talent in the world. They were incredible athletes, but maybe they don't want to work as hard for it. Again, for me, that Philly mentality, that, grind it out at all costs, that's the only thing I know.
Business-wise, is there any opportunity? What's the one that got away?
Ooh. Is there one?
Is there one that got away?
So my mentality is never look back. And so I screw things up all the time. I miss things all the time, but I'm not ever one to say, like, wow, I wish I did that. I guess probably, knowing that you guys are both, Philly guys and had so much to do to bring, happiness to Philly fans. I'd say the story I would think most about, and I don't look back and regret it in any way, shape, or form, but I sold my first real company, GSI Commerce, to eBay in March of 2011. I remember Ed Snyder, who owned both the Philadelphia Flyers and the Philadelphia Sixers. He was like a mentor to me, and I was very friendly with him. And Ed, as soon as the deal got announced, it was in March of 2011, he hit me up. He said, hey, I want to come over and celebrate with you. He lived directly across the street from me in suburban Philadelphia. So he literally right across the street. So Ed comes over and he says, Michael, first, congratulations. So happy for you. Let's celebrate, have a bottle of champagne. He says, by the way, you should buy the Philadelphia Sixers. You should buy the team. And I said, basketball teams, they lose a lot of money. I've got, what do you guys, you want $400 million for the team? It's losing, I had heard the rumors it was losing $25 million a year. Don't waste my time with this thing. And he actually said to me, Michael, you know what? I dislike basketball so much, I don't want you to buy it. So he offered it to me, told me I should buy it. I then never thought about it again until Josh Harris and Dave Blitzer bought the team and invited me to come in. They actually bought it for $265 million, not $400 million. But I thought it was a $400 million equity check. They put up like $125 million. So I never even did the research after it was offered to me. And then Josh Harris and Dave Blitzer did this incredible, kind of deal, and had a lot of vision for it was going, and I completely missed it. But when I look back, it happened exactly the way it was supposed to happen.
100%.
Yeah, I was part of the organization for 10 years. To be honest, we never had the success we need to. Unless you win a championship in sports, you've lost each year. Like, the way I look at it is, if you don't win the championship, you haven't done your job. We never got our job done, and but I learned a lot from it. It helped me a lot just to kind of continue to grow as a business person. And, when it was time to move on in 2022, so I could put all of my energy into Fanatics, which, the Sixers were kind of getting in the way of Fanatics and really growing Fanatics, it was the best for everybody. So never looked back. But when you think about it, I own 10% of the Philadelphia Sixers, and, 100% of the team was offered to me, and it ended up being an incredible thing. But for me, again, I think I have the best opportunity in the world. I feel like even though today we're over, Fanatics is more than $9 billion. We have 22,000, team members that I work with every day. I feel like we're a startup and we're just getting going. So that's what drives me every day.
So we're going to bag up a little bit because, baseball is full of superstitions.
Oh, yes.
I don't know about other sports. You hang around, the best of the best. When in baseball, people are very superstitious. Okay, we have a new section brought to you by Banana Boat, and we want to talk about morning routines, rituals, or superstitions. So, Michael, what is your morning routine, superstition, or something that you feel you need to do to get you going, to get your day started?
I don't have a routine that I do every day. I move around. I travel a ton. I move around all the time. So I'd say I wish I had more discipline around that, but I am superstitious as could be. Like I'm incredibly superstitious. Like I will never celebrate a victory until it's mathematically a victory. So like I remember during the Eagles Super Bowl this year, it was 34-0. I'm like, okay, finally I can say, finally 34-0.
Right,
I think we got this. But like I sat next to Robert Kraft when he was down 28-3 against the Falcons.
Yep.
And, everyone thought the game was over. And I kept saying, this game's not over. You got Tom Brady. It's New England Patriots. You can win this game. Right. So like, I'm very superstitious about never celebrating anything till it happens. Even in business, when people will be like, oh, we got this locked up or this is set. Like, until it's done, I don't ever prematurely celebrate. I think that is the biggest jinx of the world. So my biggest superstition would be not celebrating something until it's actually happened. I think if you do, you're going to jinx it and make it not happen.
It ain't over.
Now, that's a different question than what's my daily routine, because I don't do the same thing every day. Like I do move around a lot. My schedule changes a lot. It just is very varied. But I believe in superstition. So that second baseman, I'm buying it.
Well, speaking of fanatics, we're in Tokyo. We got the
3,500 feet in the air.
3,500 feet in the air. We got the unicorn plastered all over town.
Oh, wait a second. For $1 billion, would you clean a window here? $1 billion one time.
I'd do it.
I mean, all the windows?
Just one?
One time.
Just one window or all of them?
One time down.
Ooh.
Ah, man.
Bro.
Hey, I'm going to be praying to God the whole time. Like,
yeah.
I'm eyes closed, just wiping.
You doing it or you're not doing it?
I'll give it a shot, man. Look, somebody has to do it.
You're going to have to tell me up.
I'm terrified.
Somebody has to.
Hell no.
Hey, I don't like heights. I really don't. But I'm
3,500 feet up. Yeah, that's inside. I like heights. Outside,
I get to have a parachute strapped to my back too.
Right. Give me that. I'm good.
That's a good ad. I think $1 billion with the parachutes.
That's
fair
it.
deal.
And then I'm good.
That's it. I'm good with that.
Right. Down. But yeah, 3,500 feet. But there's something that you got going on the ground here in Tokyo with your activations, and I was able to be a part of one.
Yeah.
The Tops shop here, absolutely amazing. The memorabilia, looking at history, got to see Ichiro, which I have a signed bat of his. Shohei, I have a rookie card, mint 9, dope. Not getting rid of it. And then I had to go look at the number 55 jersey and the pinstripes. I didn't even like that one. But Hideki, you guys have done so much around here. How has he shaped what you've been able to do in here and what we as a group, MLB, have been able to do within baseball?
We'll start first with the Tokyo series. This is amazing. Like the excitement around this event, I feel like I'm at a Super Bowl. I mean, literally, you've got
baseball like a Super Bowl.
We're going to do $40 million of business around the Tokyo series. That's big numbers. That just shows you the global excitement around the set of games. When I see Rob tonight, I literally thought I was kind of joking about, I want the Tokyo series every year. I mean, Japanese fans.
I'm with it.
You're in. I mean, these fans are incredible fans. I mean, they love baseball here. And look, so first, what a way to kick the season off. What a great series. So much passion for this here. And you see it everywhere. The amount of people I see wearing our merchandise, everywhere you walk, they're proudly wearing Tokyo Series merchandise. So I think that's incredible. Shohei, I mean, it is, I met him for the first time actually yesterday. We actually were fortunate enough to get Murakami and Ohtani together. And I looked at him, I said, you're literally doing as much for baseball as Jordan did for basketball in the 90s.
Wow.
I mean, because if you really think about what he's doing globally, we think, I think we all probably have a little bit of an American mentality.
Bias, for sure.
Yeah, for sure.
But when you think about, I mean, this country is so proud of him.
Yes.
And when I see the numbers he's doing, what he's doing for the business, I mean, he is truly a unicorn. He is one of a kind. So I'd say today, I mean, we work with 5,000 athletes individually at Fanatics. So we work with, just about every sport, every team globally. I mean, he's one of a kind. He's a really special individual. And by the way, such a nice guy, so
Right,
humble and nice.
right.
And, you kind of feel like couldn't happen to a better guy.
I'm happy for him, man. I'm telling you, Rod. If you haven't had a chance to go by there to go see it, I walked through the Otani New Balance exhibit. Sick. That they had I'm little shameless plug, or not shameless at all. They had a 30-30, club. I'm one of the keys in there. Then they moved up to the 40-40 club. Few keys in there. Then it was a 50-50 club.
I'm just going to say, when you're 50-50, 30-30 is not so good anymore.
I know, right? I know. You
I'm
look
just
up,
keeping
hey,
I'm just keeping
no,
it.
but you
That's
look up and
living
it's
in
like,
the past.
that's dope. And then you keep going like, oh, yeah, that's different.
That is
That's
different.
different.
That
And
is different.
and he's different. Like when he came over, he had all the fanfare, all the hype, and
he's lived up to it
he's
more.
lived up to it.
It was just, unfortunately, he started out in Los Angeles and with the
Anaheim,
Angels.
yeah.
But it kind of worked because he got to hide a little bit, if you can hide him. If anywhere, but you have the Dodgers versus the Angels. So he was able to hide in between that. And then when he popped out, man, he popped out.
Yeah, I mean, going to the Dodgers.
Oof.
I mean, it just elevated
We
everything.
knew.
Like you said,
We
you
knew.
couldn't really hide him
Right.
with the Angels because he was that good. But then when you put him in the limelight over there with
market.
the Dodgers and the
Talk
market,
about a win-win deal.
Yeah.
I mean, here this guy comes to, one of the most important sports teams in the world, the Los Angeles Dodgers, and they go out and they give him a big bag of money, and that is a win-win deal. I mean, he did a great deal, and for the Dodgers, it was incredible. And I think it's been incredible for, the sport of baseball. I mean, just seeing what he's doing, the energy around baseball. I mean, we're seeing our baseball business today is amazing. I mean, we have, our collectibles business is, was more than $800 million just in trading cards last year. We'll sell, close to $1 billion of baseball merchandise. I mean, we see so much energy around baseball. So we talked about it here at the Tokyo Series, and we do have several activations. I've heard we've had 250,000 individual people, so 250,000 people come to buy at our activation here in Japan. That is a lot of people.
Wow,
That's a lot of people. I mean, it shows you just the absolute fandom. I mean, I like to have that. I actually think the Tokyo Dome, I think, is the biggest individual baseball stadium from a merchandise perspective in the world.
Oh,
wow.
Yeah, and we actually operate that.
Really?
The Giants. It's actually a Fanatic Stadium, but it's an incredible team, incredible venue. But to see the Dodgers and Cubs take it over and have the Tokyo Series here, it's great. And we have multiple activations. We have activations for our apparel business. We have activations for our trading card business. And we didn't even have an office in Japan 5 years ago for Topps, and now that business is growing very aggressively. And look, Shohei's obviously been incredible for it. For the 50-50 products we did last year, I mean, people wanted them everywhere in the world. We had, I think, 500,000 or 600,000 people buy his individual Topps Now card last year. We made 500,000 or 600,000 copies of the card that we sold, and hundreds of thousands of those people were new customers that never bought a trading card before. They were new to Topps. So that's the excitement that's around baseball that he's bringing to the world.
wow, man, that's
Changing the game, bro.
man.
Game changer.
Indeed, he is.
I love it. I'm excited for it. Okay. Speaking of trading cards, we had a pretty good rookie come in last year.
Yeah.
Paul Skeens. Big stink about something that you made. What is it? A rookie card?
Indeed, the
Worth
rookie
like
card with the
$500,000, $600,000. When these things happen to you, and you see, not only the fans get excited, but the players, they're starting to collect again. I collected when I was a kid, but I would give it to my cousin, and the garbage cards, they went into my spokes, and they were just making a noise, and I'm riding. But now you have players that are saying, I want to buy my own card.
Right.
I'm excited to see what's in the pack. And then you get this buzz about Paul Skeens and was like the rookie patch or something.
Yeah, it's the
what
rookie
it was.
patch
that
that goes on their debut patch.
Debut patch. There it is. And
So-
it's going for this. Like, did you envision this? Like, you knew you want to change the card game. You have. You want to change the memorabilia game, and you have. Did you see it getting to this point?
Look, the trading card industry had been very tired and had grown by luck, not by innovation, not by marketing, not by focusing on the collector experience. So for us, when we won all of the rights in 2021 and then we bought Topps in the beginning of 2022, the first thing we said is like, we need to market this industry for the first time. We need to really innovate the products. And I remember the conversation. It feels like it was yesterday. Guy who's the CEO of our collectibles business, Mike Mann, he calls me up. He says, hey, I got a great idea. And the guys at Topps think it's a great idea, but they said, baseball would never do it. I said, what's the idea? He said, look, when a player plays their first game in sports, they come up from the minors in baseball, or they're drafted into, another sport. I want to put a patch on their jersey for one game, called the debut patch. And I want to make sure that I was asking questions like, how will this work? Are they wearing the patch for the season? Is it for the game? He said, no, it's one game. We put a patch on the jersey, and then as soon as the game's over, we take the patch off the jersey. They can keep their jersey. We just put the patch, we put that in a 1-of-1 trading card. I'm like, well, that's a great idea. I'm like, what's the problem? They said baseball would never do it. So I literally called Rob Manfred and Noah Garden with the CEO of the business on the phone. Yep. And he literally, I said, hey, we got this great idea. They're like, is it for the season? No, one game. Okay, here's, how does it work? We're just going to put the patch on the jersey. They're like, you make the jersey, go get it done. We had it live 4 months later. The thing that's so amazing about that card, if you think about trading cards, it's really been about the rookie. Okay,
always.
People always saying, should I bet on that rookie? Is Paul Skeens going to be the guy? If we had a debut, by the way, if we had a debut patch for Shohei, that'd be a $10 million card today.
I've been buying boxes like, hey,
same,
right?
Yeah,
slide them through.
Yeah. So what's been so interesting for us is everyone wants their debut patches now. So you see this, like we've seen when we bought Topps at the beginning of 2022. I think there were a small amount of players that really collected. Mike Trout, a few other guys. Right. There were probably a handful of guys. Now I feel like 10 or 20% of the league is collecting, and everybody wants the debut patch. So I think the card was an incredible innovation. And it's great if there's only one in the world. This is truly a 1-of-1. Right. I think back to could you imagine if I had Tom Brady's debut patch? Could you imagine if you had, Ohtani's debut patch? If you had Mickey Mantle's debut patch, there's one in the world.
Come on, bro.
Yeah.
That would be
so
insane.
I think it was a great invention. And people are absolutely loving it. The card is up for auction right now. I think as of today, it's $660,000. But people are predicting when the auction closes in a couple of days, they think it's going to be $1 million, substantially more than $1 million, like between $1 and $2 million is what people are saying. So I can't wait to see what the card finally trades for. But if you think about it, there's only one in the world, and that's what makes these so special. By the way, they're coming for the NBA. They're coming for the NFL. So we're going to have these across all sports. Baseball is where we started it, but it's going to be across all sports.
Man, that's great. That's great. Well, it's too late for us, though.
Nah.
We can't get...
Anything's possible, baby. Let's go.
They got little gold patches for a couple MVP. Did you win MVP?
I did. Did you?
I think we went back to back.
Okay. And then I won the rookie of the year as well.
Rumor has it that when you get those letters, that you get a gold.
You get those initials.
We just wondering.
We might.
Is there like retrograde versions of those?
Or do we gotta go play
I think for
softball?
you guys,
one-day contract.
I think for you guys, maybe we could come up with a special invention only for the two of you. I mean, you gotta take care of our guys.
Okay.
But look, the really interesting thing about trading cards, different than memorabilia. Memorabilia is really about achievement, right?
Mm-hmm.
You won MVP. You won the World Series. You won the finals. That's what memorabilia is really about. Trading cards has really been about predicting what a rookie's going to do and chasing rookie cards. So what we want to do is have, incredible things to really measure, achievement in sports. And so what's more important than the Cy Young Award or the MVP Award? So there's going to be 6 patches in baseball. When you win those awards, you get a gold patch on your jersey for the year. So I think you've seen Shohei wearing that. You'll see that tonight when he plays his game. He's going to have a gold patch to signify that he was MVP last year. Same thing with Aaron Judge.
And only 2 people get to wear it. One in the NL, one in the AL.
Which is pretty cool. And again, like art, trading cards are all about scarcity. And so this was another invention from, Mike Mahan and the entire collectibles team to say, what kind of incredible products can we innovate with? And people are so excited about these. And, a lot of ways, the mentality of general public would be to chase achievement more than kind of, even though in trading cards we grew up chasing rookies, you think about any great achievement in sports. Like if I could have, a 1-of-1 card to signify that, I mean, that's pretty special.
I like that. It was growing up, were you a big card collector? Was that what kind of got you towards, this industry? Was that something you did?
Yeah, I was a rabid collector between 8 and 12 years old, and then I stopped collecting. And then really what I saw was a business that had grown by accident in a pretty major way. So if you look at how much trading cards grew, the pandemic helped a lot, but it wasn't for what you would normally think of great marketing,
Right.
great product innovation, great business leadership. So we looked at the industry. We said, there's so many things that we could do to reinvent this business. And to be honest, it's worked out kind of the way we thought it would work out. And, look, collectors are the best fan. If you're a collector, you're the best sports fan in the world because you care so much about. If you're going to collect a card, you're a really passionate sports fan.
Mm-hmm.
Gotcha.
No doubt. So we're going to switch speeds, because there's so many facets to you. We could talk about this. You gave us a glimpse of the future, what's coming.
Right.
But something that is important, culturally. And I want you to, tell us, and we're aware of it, but the Reform Alliance, what was the motivation for that? There's a core thing, injustice that you've seen, everybody's toxic again. We want this, we want to make it right, but very few do something. Yeah. You chose to do.
Yeah, look, it's a pretty well documented story. I had a really good friend of mine who today is still one of my closest friends, Meek Mill, and I watched him. I remember like in your life, there aren't so many things you remember so vividly. I remember him calling me on a Friday and say, "Hey, Rube, can you come to court with me on Monday?" I said, and we live like 15 minutes apart from each other. I'm like, "You really want me to come to court with you?" Like I was like, "What?" Like, if you need me to, I will. Like, right. Why? He's like, I want you to see what happens when a black person goes to court. And I didn't think anything of it. I thought Meek was just being Meek. And, he said, so, can you come to court with me on Monday? And so I changed my schedule around. I got there at 1:00 and I thought this would be it was a probation hearing. He had popped a wheelie on a motorcycle.
Right.
And, I said what could you possibly happen if you pop a wheelie on a motorcycle? Like, you can't really get in trouble. Like, we live in America, like no chance. And what I didn't understand is, because he was on probation, the judge had a lot of flexibility to what she could do. And she was really, in this case, his master. And she could just kind of throw the book at him if she wanted to, which is crazy. I thought it'd be a 15-minute hearing. I got there. It went on for about an hour and a half, and then I had the recess. And I remember we walked to the bathroom together. It was like we had already been in court for an hour and a half. I said, "You're fine. Don't worry about this." We walked back in. I see like 4 or 5 officers walking in. And I'm like, maybe he's not fine. Maybe this isn't good. And, an hour and a half later, I watched her say, "I'm sentencing you to 2 to 4 years for a probation violation."
Wow.
For popping a wheelie on a motorcycle, for breaking up a fight in an airport where one had a $65 ticket and one had no ticket. So he got sentenced to jail for 2 to 4 years for that. So my immediate reaction was just how do we get him out of prison? I worked together, again, well-known star. I worked together with, Jay-Z, Desiree Perez to get him out of prison. Right. And, he ultimately got out 5 months later. But the current governor of Pennsylvania kept saying to me, "Michael, you can't make this about Meek. You have to make this about, the millions of people who are unfairly, hurt by the criminal justice system and all the problems within it." And so, it's kind of like entrepreneur instincts. The day he got out, and we talked about it like while he was saying, like, we got to do something about this. So it was just like, myself, Jay-Z, Robert Kraft, Meek got together, and then we got a bunch of other incredible founders. We started the Reform Alliance, and 5 years later, we've created a pathway for close to 1 million people that shouldn't have been on probation or parole to get off of probation and parole. And this is probably the only part of the criminal justice system there's not a lot of debate around. Like, the problem was they were just leaving people on probation and parole for decades. And then you're stuck within the system. And it's like, by the way, I couldn't be on probation. You put me on probation for 10 years, you get a speeding ticket.
Right.
They can put you,
done.
they could,
done.
By the way, I don't know if you guys know this. If you're on probation, you can't even be around another felon. If you grow up in a tough neighborhood, everyone you grew up with is, everyone's, everyone around you, right? Someone's got something on them. Yeah. So look, I'm proud of what we've done so far. Like anything, we're just getting going. We have an incredible organization headed by Jessica Jackson. We've got 70 people that dedicate their lives to changing the probation and parole laws. And I think this is a really good thing. There's other parts of the criminal justice system that I think may have been overcorrected. This is not one. Probation and parole, it's very proven that the real benefits, within the first year or two, and then you want to get people out of the system. By the way, what's the purpose of prison, jail, probation, parole? It's to rehabilitate somebody.
Right.
And so that's what you want to work on. So I think we've done good work so far, and we're going to keep doing great work.
No, that's amazing. I mean, it's obviously it's all got its quirks, it's all got its problems, but again, for you to recognize, to be there. And I think for me, you got to give it up to him, for him to say, "Hey, come and watch this."
Right.
Because people like us and people like you, they don't get it. They don't understand it until they actually get to see it and actually like, unless you experience it, you don't get to experience it and then get to see it and then get to say like, wow, like what? I don't understand. Like you're saying, wait, I don't understand how he can
I'll say
can get this for popping a wheelie.
If you grow up, like I grew up very much, middle America. The house that I grew up in as a kid is probably like a $500,000 house today. So, very much, middle class, very hardworking parents. I had no exposure to this. If you would have said to me 7-8 years ago, Michael, what percentage of people that go to prison or jail belong to go to prison or jail? I would say like 99. Okay. I just had no clue. Right. And then you watch something happen firsthand.
Right.
Okay. And again, I wasn't any great guy. Like it was just one of my really good friends who went to prison for not committing a crime. I was just trying to help him together with, Jay and Des. And then when we fixed that, we're like, okay, we got to fix the underlying problem. And I think that's the definition of entrepreneurialism. And that's when you take kind of your business acumen, you apply it towards something else. We're like, we got to fix this. We got to change this. And in a lot of ways, some of the most gratifying things that we've done to be able to make an impact on the world. And look, for me, I'm going to work probably at this pace, other than the last couple of days when I haven't slept at all. I'm going to work at this pace until I die because it's the one thing I'm good at. It's the one thing I love doing. And I'm so fortunate to do it. I think if we can impact others, that's a really nice thing to do. And so I'm truly not driven by, you want to see how you're doing from a score perspective financially. Like, right. How's your business doing? Are you doing better? Are you doing worse? That's like how you keep score in a game. But like, I think giving back and making a difference is a really important thing. And I think as a company, we have that mentality. I think as an individual, I have that mentality because I know I'm lucky as shit. Like I'm not confused. Like I've had, you can't get to where I am without having also good luck and good timing.
100%.
And so for that reason, I want to do everything I can to make a difference in this world. I think, that was a place I was fortunate. By the way, all the credit goes to Meek. He's the one who went to prison for not committing a crime. He's the one that, put this on his shoulders and said, I'm going to make sure this, we do this for the millions of people who, who are the kind of the nameless Meek Mills.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
And one last question. I think we'd be remiss if we didn't have a couple of Philly guys in there and we didn't get his Mount Rushmore Philly athletes. They don't have to be sitting next to you.
They don't have to be here. Yeah.
They don't have to be in
I
the room.
thought it was you guys times too.
You don't have to be
so,
that.
First of all,
feel free.
I want someone asked me that question about a year ago.
I hate that question.
And the first thing I had to say is, how many people are on Mount Rushmore? But I actually know the answer now. I didn't know a year ago. So I just want to be very transparent to know. Right. I just said, like, is it 4 people? Is it 5 people? Is it 6? I know it's 4 now.
We'll go 5. We'll give
no,
you
it's
5.
4, right?
I know. I'm saying, but right. The real thing. We're talking about the Philly athletes. Because you may need to add in one.
Okay.
Need to add in one.
Okay. Gotcha. I mean.
Wait, why got to be a possible? I mean, you made me like a spades hand.
Look at him. He wearing all black.
Hold on a second. I just want to see you guys work out your issues first. I was just going to be silent for a minute.
This is what we got to do.
We won't do this on there.
My all-time Philly greats. I think we have to exclude the incredible guys that are in this room just to give airtime for others. I think that's just the humble thing. That's the humble thing to do. So I think if we talk about recent memories and I mean, how do you not give it up to Saquon and Jalen? I mean, what these guys just did this year. I mean, pretty incredible. As a kid, I grew up giant Julius fan, giant AI fan. And then I just saw a guy a couple weeks ago I hadn't seen for a long time who I was such a fan of as a kid. I'm sure you guys probably were too. Mike Schmidt. Like I grew up,
Smitty.
I grew up a Phillies fan. He used to buy skis for my ski shop. The craziest thing, both Julius Erving and Mike Schmidt were some of my early customers. When I was in my teens, they both came into my ski shop and bought skis for me. That's how I met each of these guys. I met, like if you're a kid and like Dr. J comes in or Mike Schmidt comes in, you're like, yo, this is crazy. They each bought skis for me.
Wait, Dr. J bought skis?
He did. It wasn't for him. It wasn't for him.
I was going to say, he had skis for, he had skis for his skis of feet.
By the way, the funny thing is, I saw Mike Schmidt. I hadn't seen him in ever. I saw him a couple weeks ago. I said, I just want you to know, we work with, 5,000 athletes across the world. I said, I want you to know, as a kid, everyone always says, like, who you're a fan of. Like, this business, you guys know, when you guys play, it's a business. Like, don't be confused about that. You work for the team, you play for the team that you play for, and that's what you want to get the outcome for. It kind of takes the fandom out of it over time. And I'm not, embarrassed to say that. So it's like, I haven't been a fan since I've been a kid, But like I said, I want you to know, you're probably one of the only guys in the world. I was a fan as a kid.
Right,
Like I love,
right.
you know, I have all the memories of going with my dad to the ballpark and watching, you know, the 1980 and 83 Phillies do what they did. So I think we got to finish it with Mike Schmidt.
There it is.
man,
There it
that's it.
is. Well, Michael, we appreciate you being here today, man.
Yes, sir.
This has been amazing. Learning experience. Tokyo at 3,500 feet.
The Sky Tree.
Being a part of it. The Sky Tree.
At the
Being
Sky
part of
Tree.
activations. And I just want to thank you personally for what you've done, you know, for this game. I mean, really, you've changed it. And I'm starting to get back into collecting. I've been doing a whole bunch of signings. And, you know, I kind of want to own something special, too.
I saw this little piece on Top Social a couple of days ago. They asked you what the value of your most valuable
Bro,
card
that
was, and
I
you had
know.
no idea.
No idea.
I heard it was about 5,000.
Yeah, it's-
So,
hey, I mean,
and then I saw a big heartfelt thanks to the fan who owned that card. So
it's real. I just, you know, you don't know. You don't know, but because of the things and innovation you and your team have done, you're making these things possible. You bring that excitement back to kids that want to own something.
Well, I'll leave with two thoughts. First, thank you very much. Look, I'm humbled to get to do what I do every day. We really do feel like we're just getting started. We have so many things we need to do to be better in all of our businesses, and you know, we're going to keep working our asses off to do that in everything we do, and in the sports betting business, and in the collectible and trading cards business, in the commerce and fan gear business. We're just going to keep working to make everything better in everything that we do. But I want to give you guys a big thank you for what you guys did for Philly. So you guys,
I appreciate it.
You guys did so much for Philly, and
Yes, sir. Thank you.
you know, you brought a lot of memories to the city that I grew up in, that I've been in for really all of my, not even adult life, all of my entire life. So thanks to you guys. And I know baseball's so lucky to have you guys around, and you know, it's been fun for me to watch it. And Ryan, for you and I feel like you and I have known each other for a long time.
Yeah.
It's exciting. So I think exciting days ahead. I think baseball's got a lot of momentum right now, and you know, I love growing together with you guys.
No, appreciate it. Appreciate it.
Absolutely.
Thank you.